10 aircraft that changed speed, distance, altitude, capacity, or control. This countdown moves from number 10 to number 1, with each archive leading into the next. We begin with Bell X-1, the flight that changed aviation. The Bell X-1, Bell Model 44, is a rocket engine-powered aircraft, designated originally as the XS-1, and was a Joint National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics U.S. Air Force supersonic research project built by Bell Aircraft. Conceived during 1944 and designed and built in 1945, it achieved a speed of nearly 1,000 miles per hour, 1,600 kilometers per hour, 870 knots, in 1948. A derivative of this same design, the Bell X-1A, having greater fuel capacity and hence longer rocket burning time, exceeded 1,600 miles per hour, 2,600 kilometers per hour, 1,400 knots, in 1954. The engineering leap surrounding Bell X-1 lead to de Havilland Comet, where a different boundary of flight was pushed. At number 9, de Havilland Comet, the flight that changed aviation. The de Havilland DH.106 Comet is a 4-engine narrow-body aircraft developed and manufactured by de Havilland in the United Kingdom. The world's first commercial jet airliner, the Comet 1 prototype first flew in 1949. It features an aerodynamically clean design with 4 de Havilland Ghost turbojet engines located in the wing roots, pressurized cabin, and large windows. For the era, it offered a relatively quiet, comfortable passenger cabin and was commercially promising at its debut in 1952. Within a year of the airliner's entry into service, 3 Comets were lost in highly publicized accidents after suffering catastrophic mishaps mid-flight. The engineering leap surrounding de Havilland Comet lead to Boeing 747, where a different boundary of flight was pushed. At number 8, Boeing 747, the flight that changed aviation. The Boeing 747 is a long-range wide-body airliner designed and manufactured by Boeing Commercial Airplanes in the United States between 1968 and 2023. It was conceived in response to the demand of Pan Am for a jet 2.5 times the size of the 707, which had been introduced in October 1958, to reduce the airline's seat cost by 30%. The design team was led by Joe Sutter, who left the 737 development program in 1965 to design the 747. In April 1966, Pan Am ordered 25 Boeing 747-100 aircraft, and in late 1966, Pratt & Whitney agreed to develop the JT9D engine, a high-bypass turbofan. The engineering leap surrounding Boeing 747 lead to Douglas DC-3, where a different boundary of flight was pushed. At number 7, Douglas DC-3, the flight that changed aviation. The Douglas DC-3 is a propeller-driven airliner that was manufactured by the Douglas Aircraft Company. It had a lasting effect on the airline industry from the 1930s through World War II. It was developed as a larger, improved, 14-bed sleeper version of the Douglas DC-2. It is a low-wing metal monoplane with conventional landing gear, powered by 2 radial piston engines of 1,000 to 1,200 horsepower, 750 to 890 kilowatts. Although the DC-3s originally built for civil service had the Wright R-1820 Cyclone, later civilian DC-3s used the Pratt & Whitney R-1830 Twin Wasp engine. The DC-3 has a cruising speed of 207 miles per hour, 333 kilometers per hour, a capacity of 21 to 32 passengers or 6,000 pounds, 2,700 kilograms of cargo, and a range of 1,500 miles, 2,400 kilometers. It can operate from short runways. The engineering leap surrounding Douglas DC-3 lead to Supermarine Spitfire, where a different boundary of flight was pushed. At number 6, Supermarine Spitfire, the flight that changed aviation. The Supermarine Spitfire is a British single-seat fighter aircraft that was used by the Royal Air Force and other Allied countries before, during, and after World War II. It was the only British fighter produced continuously throughout the war. The Spitfire was a short-range, high-performance interceptor aircraft designed by R. Mitchell, chief designer at Supermarine Aviation Works, which operated as a subsidiary of Vickers Armstrong from 1928. Mitchell modified the Spitfire's distinctive elliptical wing, designed by Beverly Shenston, with innovative sunken rivets to have the thinnest possible cross-section, achieving a potential top speed greater than that of several contemporary fighter aircraft, including the Hawker Hurricane. The engineering leap surrounding Supermarine Spitfire lead to Messerschmitt Me 262, where a different boundary of flight was pushed. At number 5, Messerschmitt Me 262, the flight that changed aviation. The Messerschmitt Me 262, nicknamed Schwalbe, German for swallow, in fighter versions, or Sturmvogel, Storm Bird, in fighter bomber versions, is a fighter aircraft and fighter bomber that was designed and produced by the German aircraft manufacturer Messerschmitt. It was the world's first operational jet-powered fighter aircraft and one of two jet fighter aircraft types to see air-to-air combat in World War II, the other being the Heinkel He-162. The design of what would become the Me-262 started in April 1939, before World War II. It made its maiden flight on the 18th of April 1941 with a piston engine, and its first jet-powered flight on the 18th of July 1942. The engineering leap surrounding Messerschmitt Me 262 lead to Sikorsky R-4, where a different boundary of flight was pushed. At number 4, Sikorsky R-4, the flight that changed aviation. The Sikorsky R-4 is a two-seat light helicopter that was designed by Igor Sikorsky with a single, three-bladed main rotor and powered by a radial engine. The R-4 was the world's first large-scale mass-produced helicopter and the first helicopter used by the United States Army Air Forces, the United States Navy, the United States Coast Guard, and the United Kingdom's Royal Air Force and Royal Navy. Coast Guard service, the helicopter was known as the Sikorsky HNS-1. In British service it was known as the Hoverfly. The engineering leap surrounding Sikorsky R-4 lead to Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey, where a different boundary of flight was pushed. At number 3, Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey, the flight that changed aviation. The Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey is an American multi-use, tilt-rotor military transport and cargo aircraft with both vertical takeoff and landing, VTOL, and short takeoff and landing, STOL, capabilities. As the first production aircraft of its type, it is designed to combine the functionality of a conventional helicopter with the long-range, high-speed cruise performance of a turboprop aircraft, and is operated by the United States and Japan. It first flew in 1989, and after a long development was fielded in 2007. The failure of Operation Eagle Claw in 1980 during the Iran hostage crisis underscored that there were military roles for which neither conventional helicopters nor fixed-wing transport aircraft were well suited. The engineering leap surrounding Bell Boeing V-22 Osprey lead to Rutan Voyager, where a different boundary of flight was pushed. At number 2, Rutan Voyager, the flight that changed aviation. The Rutan Model 76 Voyager is an aircraft designed by Burt Rutan that became the first to fly around the world without stopping or refueling. It was piloted by Dick Rutan and Gina Yeager. The flight took off from Edwards Air Force Base's 15,000-foot, 4,600 m, runway in the Mojave Desert on December 14, 1986, and ended 9 days, 3 minutes and 44 seconds later on December 23, setting a flight endurance record. The aircraft flew westbound 26,366 statute miles, 42,432 kilometers. The FAI-accredited distance is 40,212 kilometers, at an average altitude of 11,000 feet, 3,350 meters. The engineering leap surrounding Rutan Voyager lead to Solar Impulse, where a different boundary of flight was pushed. At number 1, Solar Impulse, the flight that changed aviation. Solar Impulse is a Swiss long-range experimental solar-powered aircraft project, and also the name of the project's two operational aircraft. The privately financed project is led by Swiss engineer and businessman André Borschberg and Swiss psychiatrist and balloonist Bertrand Piccard, who co-piloted Breitling Orbiter 3, the first balloon to circle the world non-stop. The Solar Impulse project's goals were to make the first circumnavigation of the Earth by a piloted fixed-wing aircraft using only solar power and to bring attention to clean technologies. The aircraft is a single-seated monoplane powered by photovoltaic cells. It is capable of taking off under its own power. That was Top 10 Aircraft That Changed Aviation. Every story in this countdown began as a shorter archive, but the connections only appear when the files are placed together. Subscribe for the next collection.